Hi guys, welcome to my channel. So as I promised in my previous video, I'm here to share with you my love story, my relationship story, and like my point A and my point B. And I will try to make it short actually, because I feel that like this is a topic that I can talk about for hours. And I want to just give you an idea of where I come from. And for that, I need to mention that I come from a family, how do I say this? I have both mom and dad, and my grandparents, my dad's parents, they're also like they've been together for what, like I don't know how many years actually. Like I'm 30 and my dad is 50, 51, and he's the first child, so I guess like they've been together like what, for 50 years or so, a little bit more than 50 years. And this is the, like, you could say that the atmosphere in my family is healthy, but how do I say this without throwing my whole family under the bus? I will just share with you what I was taught about relationship in my family and what I was taught. And I want to also tell you that this video is going to be a girl talk. I know that men are watching my videos and you're welcome to listen, but it's just that this is gonna be a girl talk because I'm a girl, and I know that I'm gonna be sharing things girls connect with a lot. And so what I was taught about relationship was that you're not always going to do what you want. Sometimes you will have to put up with something that you're not cool with, because relationship is, a two-way street. And in order to have your needs met, you need to sacrifice something. And you sometimes need to, like, for example, have sex when you don't want to have sex. Or you need to go somewhere and visit, like, I don't know, your relatives when you don't want to, and like stuff like that. Also, that you need to work hard on the way you look so your husband wouldn't leave you, or your boyfriend wouldn't leave you. You need to be on top of the game all the time, looking as glamorous, as well groomed as you possibly can, and sometimes even impossibly, so a man wouldn't leave. What else was there? That you need to be sexy, like you need your man to want you all the time, because all men want sex, and like if you can't be sexy for him, then like what's the point in a relationship? So all men want sex, and you need to be sexy all the time. And also when your man is aroused, like if your man is horny because you look sexy all the time, it's kind of your fault. So if he wants to have sex with you, then like you don't always have to want that, but you cannot say no. Otherwise, there will be another woman who will say yes, and he will leave you for her. What else? That all women by default are hypersensitive, and that we don't need to be that sensitive, because it's okay that men are masculine, and masculine means that they can say something rude, they can offend you, they can handle a woman's tears, and like you need to hide your emotions and be strong, otherwise you're not considered equal. and yeah, you need to hide your emotions, and that you need to walk on the eggshells basically every time you speak to a man, because you don't want to, you know, criticize them, you don't want to be like extremely rude, and you don't want to provoke them somehow, and you like, and being super sensitive and feeling hurt is that too, is the way how you provoke men, like is the way to make them unhappy. And again, if they're unhappy, they will find somebody else who will make them happy, and like you will be alone. I'm trying to remember something else, like fundamental life rules, relationship rules that I was given when I was a child, but I can't remember. The only thing that I just remembered because I said a child was that like ever since I was like 9 or maybe even 7, the biggest compliment my family thought that they were giving me was that, oh, I am already so grown up and so beautiful that I'm going to be somebody's bride soon. And I hated it. I just hated it. Like, I had a feeling back then that the only way I am valuable is that I'm gonna be somebody's wife soon, and like that's the only option. And this is why, as I said in my previous video, I spent all my 20s hating the fact that I'm beautiful. I hated the fact that I'm beautiful because a man didn't see my mind, didn't see my soul, didn't see my brain, my, you know, my personality behind my looks. And I used to ask all my boyfriends the same question when I was younger, like, why do you love me? Because I honestly didn't understand why. And they would always say, like, you're beautiful. And I'd be like, okay, and what else? And, well, you have beautiful eyes. Okay, and what else? Well, your voice is beautiful. And basically, like, because of the beauty that I was, and I felt like they just didn't see me. And they didn't, because I'm also an INFJ personality type, and I tend to hide. And like I didn't feel necessary to actually speak up and talk about my interests because like, what if they don't get me, and what if I'm because of this alone? And I think that with my story, as my story unfolds, I will share with you some other things that were taught to me by my family, but for now, like, that's all I remember. And so I was always the long-term relationship girl type. Did I even say it correctly? Like, I always had long-term relationships, always. And so my first boyfriend was my boyfriend for a year and a half. And our relationship started when I was over him already. I had a major crush on him when I was at school, in high school. And like, at the night we graduated, he decided to ask me if I want to be his girlfriend. And I was like, I'm over you already, but I wanted to be with you for so long. Maybe there is something there still. And I agreed to have a relationship with him. And we tortured each other for a year and a half. He tortured me and I tortured him. And that relationship caused so much trauma that I had to heal when I started my, you know, spiritual growth and self-development journey. Like, this was the most traumatic relationship, but simply because it was the longest, and simply because it was my first relationship. And basically, like, if everything I knew about relationship before that was just in theory, then I just put it all into practice, and then I had an actual experience, an actual traumatic experience, and I had a lot to heal. from that relationship. I was 17, he was 17 too. Both of us were virgins, and like the sexual experience was just terrifying to remember. Not like I wasn't abused, although there was this one memory, like before even we had sex. He once, like, we dated for 4 months, and he let me know that like it's time, that his friends are asking already whether we had sex or not. And I was like, okay, I guess it's time, but I don't feel ready. But it's time. But he says it's time, and I don't feel ready. But like, I was taught that if a man wants sex, I need to give him sex, because otherwise, like, I will be a terrible girlfriend, and his friends are laughing at him already. And so you can imagine how wonderful my first experience was. But other than that, like, that was the relationship where all my limiting beliefs came true. Like, all my limiting beliefs showed up in the real life experience, where I didn't feel heard or seen. I didn't feel that I could be authentic. I felt like he just saw my body, and he was attracted to my body, and there was a lot of trauma based on that limiting idea that I carried through many, many, many years after that. And basically we had nothing in common, but I was a chameleon who tried to, like, he also, this experience was traumatic for him too, because I was fake all this time, because I didn't speak my truth. I didn't know how to set my boundaries. I didn't know that I could set standards for my relationship, and like, if he wasn't okay with it, then like, he's welcome to leave anytime he wants. And like, every time I would try to say something, like to actually speak my truth, he would just be very insensitive and rude about this, and I would just give up. And I remembered one specific situation where he was visiting me, like we were at my place, and I said that I hate cooking, and I'm not gonna cook ever in my entire life. And he just said, like, you won't have a choice. Like, what are you talking about? Women cook. You don't have a choice. And it made me so pissed, and at the same time I gave up. I was like, there's no point in talking to you about this. Like, you don't get me. And so, like, our every conflict would be like this. I would just start talking about something, and then I would just, like, he would not welcome that part of me, and I would just shut down and stop talking at all. And the only thing that pulled me through, actually, in that relationship was the fact that I was smoking back then. And he didn't like the fact that I was smoking, of course. And I would hide from him, and I would go to the university and I would smoke there. And since he was meeting me after my last class, and we would walk home together, and I didn't smoke before my last class, so I wouldn't smell like, cigarettes. And he would find out anyway, because he had friends in my university, and maybe he could still smell the smoke. And that was one thing I was not ready to give up for him, because back then I was like, this was my first rebellious act. I was, I felt like my own person because I smoked, and I was doing something that I chose to do, and like that my parents disapproved, and I did it anyway. Like, I felt powerful because of this. And he tried to make me stop smoking by giving me, speeches, and by hurting himself. Like, he once took my cigarette, and he just put it, what's the word, extinguished it in the palm of his hand. And then he showed me the scar, not the scar, like the wound, and said, this doesn't hurt as much as seeing you killing yourself, like with a cigarette, something like that. And I was like, I didn't care that much about him. Like, I didn't care so much about that at that moment I thought that actually cigarettes cost money and you just ruined one. Like, what the hell are you doing? I didn't say it out loud because I knew that he expected a different reaction from me, and I was like, oh, I will try to quit, but it's hard. But basically, like, I didn't give a shit about this back then. And so this relationship lasted for a year and a half, and then like smoking was one of the reasons that I used to break up with him. That you try, like I said, my final speech was that you try to make me someone that I'm not, and I'm not willing to change for you. Like, when I feel like quitting smoking, then I will quit smoking, and there's nothing you can do about this. And so after that, there was a bunch of other relationships. They were all long-term. They were like, and long-term for me is like around 8 months, not less than 8 months. And they were all like, sex was at the same level. Like, I don't want to, but if I say no, then he will leave me. And then I can't leave him even though I don't like him, because like, at least he is someone that I know, and I know what to expect from him. And like, what if I break up with this one and I won't find anybody else? Or what if I break up with this one and the next one is gonna be worse? And all this process of getting to know each other with the new person, like all the first dates and stuff like that, felt so disgusting that I didn't even want to finish this relationship to then be looking for another one. And being not in a relationship was weird, because like back then everybody else was in a relationship. And like, that was the question number one from all the relatives and all the people that I would meet after some time of not seeing them. It's like, hi Dasha, how are you? So are you seeing someone? How is your love life? And it was like, you're supposed to have a love life, because otherwise like there's something wrong with you. And so that was my aim also, to have a love life, because like I felt that if I don't have a love life, then there's something wrong with me. Like, if I haven't dated somebody for a few months, then like I need to be on the market, because like otherwise there must be something wrong with me, and like I feel incomplete because I need to be in a relationship, where relationship then ends up being a pain in the butt and I want out. And it was like a vicious circle. But yeah, I had all kinds of relationships where my boyfriends were unfaithful, and where they would choose somebody else over me and just leave me. But it was just a couple of times, and usually I was the one who left, because I would be just silent and tolerating stuff that I didn't want to tolerate. And then at some point I would be just done and over, and I would be just slamming the door closed and just never coming back. And then I also had a bunch of crushes where like I had a crush, and the guy I had a crush on didn't care about me, and I felt not worthy, and I felt that he didn't pick me, and there must be something wrong with me. And then I started dating the first guy again, like 6 years later. After 6 years after we broke up, we met again. And I was desperate back then, because I was just out of the relationship where the guy left me because he fell in love with his ex, the one he was dating before me. And I felt so wounded. I felt that I wasn't needed, I wasn't worthy, no one wanted me, and like there must be something terribly wrong with me. And I met him, And I thought that, okay, you loved me, so you gonna be the one I'm gonna be with. And back then he dated another woman. He was cheating on her with me. And he was telling all the stuff that men tell in these situations, that our relationship is not passionate anymore, and we're just, sleeping together. I mean, like, we're sleeping in the same bed, but like there were no feelings and blah blah blah, and this is why I'm with you, because with you I feel alive, and na 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 and all this stuff. And at some point where I asked him, like, are you going to talk to her? Like, you've been cheating on her for a while, and you are with me now. Like, when are you going to be fully with me, instead of lying to her and just giving me all the free time that you have, which is not much, and I want more of you, and like I want to build serious relationship with you. And this is when he told me that he loved me, but he was not ready to break up with her, to be with me. I remember that day clearly. I was lying on the floor, crying my heart out and my soul out, because it was like, this was the painful feeling that he didn't choose me, that I lost. Like, there is this other girl that apparently is better than me, and I don't get it. Like, but he said he loved me, and at the same time loving me was not enough for him to break up with her. Like, what's that about? And I felt so hurt that I texted him that I at least want sex from him. Like, I didn't want to lose him, and I thought that maybe if I offer sex, then at some point later he will choose me. And he of course agreed to that, and he would just come to my place to have sex, and then he would leave. And you could imagine how terrible I felt back then, because like my self-esteem was crushed into pieces, and I felt so betrayed by myself that I didn't want to even, I couldn't deal with this. Every time I had sex with him, I was betraying myself, because later I also found out that I am asexual. I mean, I'm on the asexual spectrum, because I do want sex, I do love sex, but I need to have this connection with the person. I love people for their personality. This is why I was never actually attracted to bad guys, because I like personality came first, and I don't need as much sex. Like once a month is absolutely fine, and like this is enough sex for me. And this is why it was also like I was betraying myself so much at that time. But then at some point I managed to put my shit together and break up with him, because I was done. I realized that like he's fine and he doesn't want to change anything in his life anymore, that now he has like the best of two worlds. And I remember I clearly remember the song that helped me was Beyonce's song Irreplaceable, where she's saying that since I'm not your everything, how about I'll be nothing? And like this is basically the phrase I told him when I was breaking up with him. And after that he tried to to reach out, to call me, to ask me out on a date, and I was like, no, I'm done. Like this is the tendency I had in all my relationship, where I would be just tolerating too much, and then I would be like a rising phoenix, and I'd be like, no, that's it. Like there's nothing you can do now to change stuff. Like I already formed an opinion about you. And after that, I had a long-term relationship with a man who was 20 years older than I was. He worked in the same company that I worked in. And when we started talking, when we started dating, I felt that he sees me. I felt that he sees my intelligence. He sees me, like my soul. And like, yeah, he appreciated my looks, but he loved having deep conversations with me and ask for my opinion on things. And I finally felt seen, and I thought that, okay, I'm done with all those boys who don't get me. Now I'm with a grown man who appreciates me and who sees the woman that I am, incredible, kind-hearted, amazing. And I felt so happy. But you know, what I said again in my previous video is that even when you change, or did I even say it? I can't remember. Or maybe I just journaled about it and I said that phrase there, that you can change circumstances. You can change, like you can put yourself from the surroundings that you're in right now and put yourself in a totally different surroundings, in a totally different world, but you will be carrying yourself with you. And so since I didn't know how to be in a relationship, since I didn't know how to be any other way in a relationship than I used to be before, I kept betraying myself. When I didn't want to have sex and he did. I kept betraying myself when I didn't speak up, didn't tell my truth, didn't share with him my opinion on things. And what ended up happening is that he loved our deep conversations where he was talking and I was listening. And when I tried to speak up, when I tried to share my opinion on different subjects, he would be like, non-appreciative, and he would end up just saying that like I don't have enough experience and blah blah blah, and like you don't get me. And and also, since there was a big age difference between us, he sometimes used to say things like, yeah, you don't get me, you're too young, you don't get it, like when you will be my age you will understand. And my self-esteem was very low again, and I put his interests first, and I didn't want to have fights with him because then I would have to break up with him and then I will be alone again. And I wanted to make it work, so I was trying to be quiet and nice so he would like me, all the same stuff, the same story in all the relationship. And also my mom didn't help much because she really liked discussing how I am bad with men, how I don't know how to build a relationship, and how I need to listen to her. And her way of building relationship was manipulative, where she would she didn't know how to talk about her feelings with my dad, and the advice she gave was not actually helpful. And so when I broke up with him, and I led him to breaking up with me, actually, because he started drinking, and I was also tolerating him. I remember also very graphic situation, very graphic example of our relationship closer to the end, where he came home drunk and he wanted sex and I didn't want sex. And I told him that, no, you're drunk. I don't want to have sex with you when you're drunk. But he kept insisting, and he kept saying that I'm, spoiled, and there were 17 women in the bar who would have sex with him, and he was faithful and he came home to me, and now I need to be grateful and have sex with him. And I say, no, like, what's wrong with me? And I said yes. And I said yes. And I said, okay, like, it's easier to say yes than explain why not. And we started kissing, and then he just stopped it. And he said, you know what? It feels like I'm raping you, and I'm not that. I'm not a rapist. And so, and he left. And I felt like I said yes, and he didn't want me. Again, it was like I made it about me. I made it that, yeah, what's wrong with me? And and I also made it, I also felt upset about myself because I agreed to betray myself when even he saw that it was unhealthy. And yeah, I felt so hurt. And so the next day, or like a few days later, when he came home drunk, and he, like, the story repeated. He wanted sex, and I said no, and he started telling all the same crap, that you need somebody, like, you need a young boy who will be saying yes to all your needs and desires. You need to find a mindless boy because I'm a grown-up man. You cannot manipulate me, and blah blah blah. And at that point I said, so what are you trying to say? What are you trying to say? And he said that you need to find somebody else. And I was like, okay, fine, we're done. And I left. I took my cats. We had 3 cats back then. I took them all. And I was lucky enough to have my own apartment back then. I lived with him, but I had my own apartment, and so I had a place to go. And I just left. And the next morning, I tried again to make it work. I wrote to him and said, like, maybe we can figure it out. And he was drunk. Again, it was my luck that he was still drunk back then. And he said, like, F you. I don't, like, we have nothing to talk about. And I was like, okay. I spent a sleepless night trying to come up with an idea of how to make it work. And you don't want to see me after that? Like, you screwed up and you are acting like this? And I was like, fine, we're done. And so, like, the next day when he was at work, I ordered a car and I packed all the stuff. Like, within 3 hours I was gone, and like, he came home and there was nothing that could remind him about me. And after that, I accepted the fact that I don't want to be in a relationship anymore, that I don't know how to build healthy relationship, that my mom doesn't know either, and that I need to learn. I found back then, by that time, I found a Russian coach, a relationship coach, and I was listening to her YouTube videos. And I realized that I don't know how to build a relationship. There's too much to work on. And I'm ready to, to stop dating, to stop looking for a man, and to first gather all the knowledge that I can gather to build a better relationship. And this is a story for a next video. What happened after that? I will name this video My Story Part 1, and the next video is gonna be My Story Part 2. And yeah, I hope it was like, yeah, I can't say I hope it was useful because I was just sharing my crappy relationship experiences. And yeah, I just can hope that it resonates with you, because I know the way out. I can help with the way out, and I will share my way out in my next video. So you guys, let me know if it resonates. Let me know if you heard something that reminded you of you. And if you've been in this place, if you had these experiences, there is a better way. There is a better way of building a relationship. There is a better way of being. There is a way to build up your self-esteem. You can get out of this mess. And I'm gonna share with you in the next video how I did that. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in my next video. See ya!